A lot of big weekend series coming up this weekend in Major League Baseball. You might be focused yourself on the preseason action, setting up your fantasy draft, setting up your seasonal numbers here in the NFL. But me and Joe Raineri, it's time to focus here on Major League Baseball right here on the early line on the SportsGrid Network. And that starts with the New York Yankees. Ooh, two teams that hate each other, Joe. It's the Houston Astros as they come to town against the Yankees. The boos will be out in full force. The only question is, will they be booing the Astros or their own Yankees in this series? Brown's going to go up against Schlitter in this series. Game number 1 tonight, 7:05 p.m., 9:13, 9:14 on the rotation. If we look at the lines, overnight, it was roughly a favorite here at most outlets for the Houston Astros. But now we see more of a pick'em across the sports landscape right now, depending on where you're shopping at. A low total too, Joe. 8s overnight, they've turned into 7.5. We're expecting a pitching performance tonight. The question is, which pitcher and which team do you trust?
Well, I'm very interested in the line movement here, Donnie, overnight from the Astros being the road favorite to all of a sudden now the Yankees in a lot of spots being the favorite. So listen, Hunter Brown, we know he was about as Cy Young worthy as anybody in Major League Baseball for, 3/4 of this season. He has slowed down here a little bit over the last couple of starts here over the last month. But the reality is, which version of these two teams is showing up here tonight? Are we getting the Hunter Brown of old and the lineup that we saw explode finally for over the weekend for the Astros with Pena and Carrera and company? Or are we going to get the one that, again, can't hit water if they fell out of a boat? So I think this is going to be a very unique matchup, but both bullpens are fantastic, by the way. So if both starting pitchers have issues, it's an under to me here. I think the offenses are going to struggle here tonight in this first game against these pitching staffs.
I like Houston. I think Houston makes some sense in this spot here. I still do like the Yankees lineup. It projects well against right-handed pitching, but you're right about one thing. There was a tripping point there in the month of July that, Hunter Brown looked like he was on case, because I remember, I think it was when the Philadelphia Phillies were playing him, the graphic came up on the screen, leads Major League Baseball in ERA. He was that good to start the season over the first couple months. But however, Joe, his last 2 starts, July 26th against the Athletics, 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run. Next start after that goes on the road to Boston at Fenway, 7 innings pitched, 1 earned run. Looks like he's back into form tonight. And I'm going to say, all right, third time's a charm. He's going to give us an honest effort. I think the Houston Astros come away with a victory here over the Yankees. Number one, I like the way the Yankees lineup projects against Houston. Yes, but Hunter Brown, I think, is the better pitcher. But also, Houston's lineup looks pretty good today as well, going up against the young pitcher for the New York Yankees. I think the Astros get that job done. Let's filter out to the team that's favored to win the pennant and favored to win a World Series. That is the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're taking on the red-hot Toronto Blue Jays, looking to stay in first place in the AL East. Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer on the mound tonight. Total listed at 9 across the board, but a favorite here for the Dodgers. But overnight, Joe, we were talking minus 160s, minus 165s. They're going lower. The graphic, you'll see it on the screen, minus 142. Those are the numbers that are now sitting here, meaning we're getting a buyback here for the Toronto Blue Jays. I actually like this 9 number, Joe. I'm feeling a little bit of runs tonight out there in Chavez Ravine.
Yeah, that would not shock me either here, given the fact that we've seen both of these guys. Both guys, by the way, will be in the Hall of Fame at some point here. Both of these pitchers here with Scherzer against Kershaw. But at the same time, don't necessarily love the Dodgers bullpen either. I got to give the edge here to Toronto. I think Toronto, from a batting perspective, has been crushing lefties here for the better part of the last 2 months on the season. And I think they can go toe-to-toe here. Scherzer could very well give up his share of runs. It feels like an over, but it feels like the better bullpen is with Toronto. And currently, I trust the Blue Jays lineup to hit a lefty better than most. So I'll take the Blue Jays in the over here.
Yeah, I like that Blue Jays lineup. Day-to-day basis, looks very good. I'm just waiting for that Dodgers lineup to officially wake up, because there are times where it's like, hey, man, you could take everybody in that Dodgers lineup for like an RBI prop. We're not at that case right now. Max Scherzer's last 45 days in Major League Baseball, Joe, 38 innings pitched, a 4.26 ERA, and a 3.82 xFIP number. If we slide it down, Kershaw slightly behind him. 33 in the third innings pitch. Not a bad ERA of 3.27, but a higher xFIP number of 4.34. Two good-looking lineups here, at least name-wise and recognition. We'll see if that pans out to runs tonight in Los Angeles in a big tilt between Toronto of the American League and also the Los Angeles Dodgers of the National League. Let's get over to the New York Metropolitans, who need a couple victories to try to climb back in the race with the Philadelphia Phillies. They're going to take on who we think may be the hottest team in baseball. At least this team has 70 wins, more than any other team in Major League Baseball. That's the Brewers. Senga's on the mound versus Woodruff. 905, 906 rotation, number 810 start tonight. If you look at this side, how about Milwaukee overnight? Minus 118s, minus 120s, minus 124s. Those are gone. Steam is hitting the Milwaukee Brewers, and I agree. They're now up into the mid-140s now with a total listed at 8. Woodruff, Senga. I like Milwaukee, Joe. I'll ride the favorites and the steam here.
Yeah, and I like them early, too. And it wouldn't shock me either if this is a bit of a pitcher's battle early on as well. Senga, outside of his last start, has actually been pretty darn good here and not giving up the long ball and keeping balls on the ground. He's a ground ball pitcher. It feels like, Woodruff is really coming out of the gate hot since he's been back. He's already 3-0 with a 2.22 ERA, his sixth start. He missed all of last year, missed the first half of this season, and he looks like he has not skipped a beat here. So I think the first 5 under 4 is not a bad look here, Donnie, because I believe both of these pitchers are going to be able to control what happens in this game early on.
Yeah, here's what I worry about Senga, too, because obviously the pedigree coming in, he was on the IL for quite some time, came back against the Kansas City Royals on July the 11th. 4 innings pitched, no earned runs. You like to see that. But his next 3 starts, Joe, 3 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. 5 innings pitched, three earned runs, gave up 4 runs in that game. And then again against the San Francisco Giants, his last start, August the 2nd, only 4 innings, 4 earned runs, a home run, 3 walks, and only 4 strikeouts here. Something's wrong with Senga where, he was supposed to be a strikeout guy, not coming up the block. That's why I think that steam is hitting. Sal Frelick, Isaac Collins, Christian Yelich, Andrew Vaughn, Blake Perkins, Bryce Terang, all have really good numbers weighted on base percentages here. But this is a big-time series. Are we still believing that the Milwaukee Brewers are for real? Well, we'll find out. But also for the New York Mets, if the Phillies handle their business against the Texas Rangers and let's just say win that series and the Mets lose this series, now you're looking at 3.5, 4.5 games back here for the Mets. That can't happen. More Major League Baseball talk on the early line. It's a Friday right here on the SportsGrid Network. Some say the West Coast is the best coast here. The early line, we're going out to San Diego to break down a baseball game between the Boston Red Sox and the San Diego Padres. How about this one, Joe? Walker Buehler's on the mound. Back on the West Coast for him. Hasn't really had that good a time on the East Coast, by the way. Numbers are inflated this season, not getting that potential that we once saw with the Los Angeles Dodgers. But you know who is showing this potential? That's Nick Pivetta, starting pitcher here for the San Diego Padres. Look at this price point in a game that's going to start at $9.40 tonight, Joe. Minus 184 overnight. It's actually increasing in some outlets. Minus 188s here, minus 185s. A total that's listed at 8. Boston goes out to the West Coast, taking on the San Diego Padres. Pitching advantage to pitching Pivetta tonight. Do you agree that they should be that higher priced against the Boston Red Sox?
Well, yeah, especially given the fact that Walker Buehler is a hot mess on the road. I think he's got close to a 7.5 road ERA here. And Nick Pivetta, of course, has been, one of the best bargain free agent signings of the year. If you are the Padres, he has been really good. He's been really good at home as well. And when you have this kind of pitching advantage, I absolutely side with the home team. I'll lay the half a run in the first 5. I think Pivetta outduels Walker Buehler. I think the Padres get to him before the Red Sox get to Pivetta. They're better against lefties, not so much against righties. I like them in the first 5. I'll lay the half a run.
He's been really good, too. How about his last 44 and 2/3 innings pitched? We're talking about Nick Pivetta right now, not Jacob deGrom circa like 2016. A 1 ERA, Joe. He has a 1 ERA over his past 44 and 2/3 innings pitched here. We'll see if those hot bats can come out to San Diego and sort of ignite that flame. But there's a reason why Pivetta is favored by that much right now. We'll see where those lines end up by the end of the night, which is when that game does play. Let's go down to the Lone Star State. The Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Texas Rangers. Christopher Sanchez has been absolutely electric this season in Major League Baseball. How about his last 51 innings pitched, Joe? 1.59 ERA going up today against Merrill Kelly. This line is a slight favorite for the Phillies, which opened up overnight minus 125s or so. We're now to the 130s, as high as 137 in the marketplace, but a low total of 7.5. Kelly versus Sanchez in Texas tonight, 8:05 start.
Yeah, you gotta listen, Merrill Kelly. It's not like Philadelphia doesn't know him with his time spent at Arizona, Donnie. So they're very well aware of what he's going to bring to the table. Both bullpens have obviously been upgraded and have been pitching better. Sanchez has been great. Do we trust him on the road? More like, does he pitch on the road like he pitches at Philadelphia? Not necessarily, but either way, I think this is pretty good value on the home dog here tonight, maybe to eke one out. The bats have been hot for the Rangers. There's no doubt about it. They've been pretty decent against lefties lately. All in all, though, wouldn't shock me if runs are going to be very hard to come by in this game.
Yeah, take a look at Merrill Kelly, too. 41 and a third innings pitched. Obviously, new baseball team here. 2.83 ERA. So you got a guy with it. Again, I don't like the ERA, but a lot of people just use that as that eye point here. 2.83 for Merrill Kelly. Last 45 days, Christopher Sanchez, 1.59. Also some beefed up bullpens as well. We'll see how that plays out in Texas tonight. But let's move to a battle which used to be a really fierce rivalry. Chicago Cubs and the St. Louis Cardinals. Boyd, the lefty's going to be on the mound going up against McGreevy. Heavy favorite for the Cubbies here. Open up overnight, though, around that minus 170. It is dropping 156s and 150s, depending where you're shopping at right now. An 8.5 total that's listed. And if you take a look at my guy Boyd, his last 45 innings pitched, a 1.40 ERA. Where's the juice baseballs, Joe? What's going on out here?
Yeah, no kidding. But I mean, listen, the Cubs are barely hanging on to with a chance to actually win this Central Division. I mean, they've only won 5 of their last 10 games. The bats go really cold really quickly here. And we've got now a Cardinals team that is better at home. And make no mistake, this is a heated rivalry. One in which, though, I got to believe the better pitcher on the mound gives me the Cubs, I think, with a better chance of winning this game here and holding the Cardinals lineup down.
Yeah, Boyd's been doing really well, but you take a look at McGreevy, the other end of the spectrum, 22 and a third innings pitched over the past 45 days. How about his ERA? No, not a 1, not a 2, not a 3, not a 4, not a 5, not LeBron James talking about championships. He's a 6.85 ERA with an xFIP of 4.89. That's certainly not going to help at this point. Weather conditions in St. Louis, finally out of Chicago. It seems like, Joe, it was blowing in every single day for some reason. Yeah. 88 degrees at first pitch at night. Light wind blowing out to left field. Maybe we do get some runs, but the team I'm not going to trust in this environment would be the St. Louis Cardinals because I don't like the pitching matchup. I don't like the batting lineup there for them. And also, Boyd, again, a 1.151 ERA, basically. Come on now. Nobody's hitting in this environment. Baseball's in the seats. That's what we love. Football Friday on the early line. It's the way we like to do it here, even if it is only the preseason. Thursday night games, Friday night games, Saturday into Sunday, and away we go. Next year will be week 2 preseason, week 3 preseason, and then we find ourselves on Thursday Night Football for the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Raineri. Now we welcome in Tom Vecchio, the jack of all trades, to help us out with some action today. Tom, how do we feel? How we doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, we got some preseason action last night. We have a full slate of MLB today. We have preseason throughout the weekend. I'm ready to go, and I would say don't overreact to anything that you see in the preseason, good or bad.
Nope, don't overreact. And by the way, don't overreact on Major League Baseball, Pro Baseball today, Sunday, every single Sunday here in the month of August, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Both myself and Tom Vecchio breaking down the entire Major League Baseball card, which we do have an entire Major League Baseball card today. And it warms my heart, Tom, that I know you want to talk about your and my Philadelphia Phillies. Any action today in that Texas Rangers series, which is a big one.
Yeah, we have a lot of big series between now and when we have Houston and New York, Boston, San Diego, Toronto, LA Dodgers. But let's go to that series. Really like the under in this game. And I know that might not be the most exciting thing, but we're looking at 2 solid pitchers overall. The ballpark itself in Arlington has played to the under a lot. The Rangers offense is good. And I know, I think all 3 of us have been or were high on the Rangers coming into the season, at least from an offensive perspective. They haven't put it together fully. Combined with the fact that the Phillies have upgraded their bullpen, I don't see this as a high-scoring series overall. So I like the under tonight. We got 2 solid pitchers with Merrill Kelly and Sanchez on the mound. I see this as a straight under. We're not dealing with any weather weather factors. Give me the under in all 3 games, and I hope that 2 of the 3 come out under.
It's interesting too because that ballpark has been a under cash cow all season long, except over the last couple of weeks where we're starting to get a whole lot of overs here. But you're confident both Sanchez and Merrill Kelly can limit the damage at least early until the bullpens get involved.
I have more confidence in the Phillies bullpen keeping things under control with the improvements that they made. Listen, we could be seeing this game, like 3-2 after 5, really on the other side. And if you told me, listen, a Schwarber solo home run and a Seager 2-run shot, and then it pushes to 8 and either team wins 5-3, I'm not going to be shocked. But I do see the under as it's going to be trending that way up until late, if anything.
Cleveland just got done hammering the New York Mets. Then you take a look at the Chicago White Sox just getting beat up there by the Mariners. They're going to play today. Total listed at 8.5 across the board. And a favorite here for Cleveland with Tanner Bybee on the mound. 158s have been lowered slightly into the minus 140s right now. Any action you're looking at between the Guardians and the White Sox today, Tom?
Yeah, so this game is going to be in the upper 80s. There's a little bit of wind blowing in, and I don't really see that as too much of an issue. I think the temperature overall offsets that. The Guardians, all of a sudden, they're scoring at least a consistent amount of runs, and the White Sox, credit to them, they're playing much better as of late. They're not winning every game, but they had a solid series last weekend, which Joe and I spoke about on a couple IGLs going up against the Angels. They put up some runs over the past few days against a good Mariners staff, even though they lost that series. Aaron Savali's on the mound, and Donnie, this is literally one of our favorite pitchers to attack. I know he had a good start last week versus the Angels, but this is a spot where we're going to see the Guardians continue to roll. And I really got to say, they got to take the momentum from the Mets series and where they are in the wild card standings, they got to pour in some runs. So yes, there's a little bit of wind blowing in, but you give me 88, 89, 90 degrees, whatever it's going to be. I see this game going over, and I see Jay Ramos having a huge weekend against this terrible pitching staff.
So don't look now, but how confident are you that maybe the Guardians can keep this rolling? And listen, I don't trust Detroit. And what are they, about 6 games different right now and plenty of baseball? I mean, are we sleeping on the Guardians here?
I spoke about this yesterday a little bit with Craig Mish on Newswire. I'm confident Detroit wins the division because it is a lot to overcome, and their offense. Granted, it hasn't been good as of late, but the point that I'm making with the Tigers is at least they have some type of runway where they don't need to play they don't need to win 75% of their games to maintain the lead. If they play 500-ish, a little bit over 500, the Guardians would really need to exceed that. Combined with the fact that the Guardians, their pitching staff is weaker theoretically because they traded away Shane Bieber, who should be coming back soon. Emmanuel Clase is suspended. The Tigers did make improvements, quote unquote, to their pitching staff of getting Charlie Morton and Chris Paddock, despite the fact that they are middle-of-the-road pitchers. They are better than what they had out there. And yes, the Tigers' offense has been struggling, but they have this runway to figure it out, and they do have an easy strength of schedule remaining. So I think the Tigers maintain it. It's not going to be cruising up to 11 games as they were earlier in the season. It's going to sit around this 5-6 mark for the rest of the year.
Only 4 games on the card yesterday in Major League Baseball. Full slate tonight on a Friday, but also some NFL action. Tom, did you watch any action from yesterday and have any takeaways from those games yesterday?
My takeaways from preseason really come down to a player level, especially as it relates to, potentially, fantasy, drafting players, whatnot. The things that I would say is it's good to see that the Ravens still have depth behind Derrick Henry with running back Mitchell. He had a solid game. You can take away whatever you want from preseason games because the sample size is so small. If you want to say Ashton Genty, he's terrible. 3 carries, -1 yards, you're going to say, he's terrible. But in reality, it's a small sample size. If you're going to say on the other side, Anthony Richardson didn't look good or looked okay, then he got hurt. You can take anything away from it that you want. I would say the one thing I am still concerned about is the Bengals defense. I think everyone's still concerned about it. We know that the Bengals can go out there and score 30 points a game as they did last year, but if your defense gives up 35 points, you're never going to be in a spot to go 10-7 or 10-6, whatever the weeks are this season. It's not 8-8 anymore. It's 10-7, I guess. But the Bengals defense is concerning still.
Yeah, it definitely is. By the way, let me ask you this question on the Los Angeles Chargers, because you never want to see injuries here. And I know most people are high on the Chargers. You get that devastating injury to your left tackle, one of the best tackles in the NFL. Does that change your outlook at all, Tom, passing yardage-wise, receiving yards, rushing yards-wise? Because that's a key loss that might interrupt some of those games here with a pass rush that just can't hold up.
Yeah, it does have to downgrade a little bit. I'll be honest, I wasn't super high on the Chargers coming into the season from a team perspective. I think some of their players individually have a lot of potential, but I see them as being a wild card team at best. They're not going to be competing for the division, and it is absolutely a downgrade to Herbert and his overall passing ability this season.
Before we get you out of here, Tom, of course, you could see Tom and myself on Sunday morning here on Pro Baseball Today. Does Shedeur Sanders throw a touchdown pass tonight? Yes or no?
Yes.
Whoa!
Then he gets first team reps. He'll get
money.
first team reps in the coming week.
Tom has spoken. Let's get it. Shedeur Sanders touchdown pass. Thanks for joining us this morning, Tom. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and let's get back after here with some bye. Shedeur Sanders starting tonight for those Cleveland Browns. They're getting 6.5 points from the Carolina Panthers. We just asked Tom Vecchio here if he thinks they're going to throw a touchdown pass. At least Shedeur gets one. Yes, he said, and I do believe the same thing. If he's going to play the first half, he's going to be put in the position to go against backups. And let's just see if you can throw one touchdown pass tonight. But he's been making the rounds in the news for the past year and a half, 2 years, since he's been at Colorado with his pops, prime-time Deion Sanders. But now he's in the NFL trying to make his way and be a starting quarterback. But here's where I get a laugh out of things. Stephen A. Smith yesterday, obviously a prominent guy across social media and on ESPN, his quote was, he's been fourth on the depth chart, and then you suddenly throw him in to start. You're throwing him to the Wolves. I know sometimes, like, you get overextended in some, like, sports fields that maybe you don't understand all that way. Like, I don't know if he feels like how he understands preseason, but usually in game number 1, the rookies play the most because nobody cares about this football game. So you want to get a look at the rookies, particularly your starting quarterbacks. So you start Shedeur Sanders, even if he's fourth on the depth chart. Like, that's the way the NFL works. But some people are led to believe that that is correct. Like, yeah, they're throwing him under the bus by starting him with backups here. Did you want them not to play him in the preseason and then cut him because he didn't play in the preseason so he didn't get thrown to the Wolves? Like, I don't even understand the comment or the concept of what he's trying to say here, Joe.
And what's the difference with the depth chart? We know Flacco's at the top, and we know that you basically have underneath that Kenny Pickett, who's got the most experience. So you got 2 rookies battling it out. The preseason is all about giving those rookies the opportunity to distance themselves from one another, right? So the fact that it's not Dylan Gabriel and it's Shedeur Sanders starting this game, I think that's what you need to focus on. And the bottom line, how is this any different than Shedeur Sanders under center at Colorado playing Notre Dame or Penn State or USC? None of those kids at Colorado were going to be in the same breath as the guys that they were playing across the ball from when you play some of the big boys. He's used to this. He's used to running around for his life. Listen, you either have it or you don't have it. We're going to find out, I think, rather quickly whether or not he truly is a pro-level quarterback. Because could the bar get any lower with him, Donnie, right now as the 4th stringer?
And by the way, don't you want first crack at it? How about he goes out there 7 of 8 on the first 2 drives with a touchdown pass? They go, okay, we've seen enough from you. Looks like you're going to make the team. You could be our number 2 quarterback and maybe fight for a starting job. Like, these are the things that you want as a competitor to be out there and competing at this time. We'll see what happens tonight if he throws touchdown passes, if they win, or if we get an injury like we saw last night with Anthony Richardson that sort of sets back that process of trying to find your starting quarterback in Cleveland here. But now's the time of the show, particularly the end of the week. Friday is payday, people, and here's bye. I got robbed, I tell you, yesterday by the Marlins. Had an easy victory snatched away from me from that bullpen. They just couldn't hold that tough Atlanta Braves offense down. But I'm going to bounce back today. But, Joe, back on the prowl tonight. Major League Baseball, NFL. Where are we going tonight?
Oh, let's go back to the Diamonds here. And let's go. If it ain't broke, why in the world are we looking to fix it? Right now, the Brewers are not broke. The Mets are. And Brandon Woodruff on the mound, 18-3, Donnie, with a 2.33 ERA. And you ready for this? His last 37 starts going all the way back to May of 2022. He's 2-1 with a 3 ERA and 3 career starts against the Mets. This is a guy that is really starting to come into his own. This is his 6th start since coming off the IL. Everything Milwaukee touches, including a guy like Andrew Vaughn, by the way, who continues to be smashing the ball at the plate. All signs point up here to Milwaukee. At this price, I got no problem backing the better pitcher and the better bullpen against a lineup right now that it doesn't matter what you throw at them, they're going to hit it. Yeah, I like the Brewers at this price as a home favorite.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense. There's no doubt about that here. So when I take a look for myself and say, where do I want to go? It's going to be Major League Baseball, and I'm headed to Sacktown. Well, not necessarily Sacktown, but it is in Baltimore tonight. But I'm going to go with two guys, each to get a base hit. If I look at Nick Kurtz in that lineup, his last 66 at-bats against right-handed pitching, he slayed the Demons. A 549 ISO and a 702 weighted on-base percentage. Tyler Soderstrom, 73 at-bats over his past month here against right-handed pitching. A 286 ISO and a 377 weighted on-base percentage. You look at Sugano, the starting pitcher on the mound tonight in 76-degree temperatures. He gives it up to left-handed batters. Plus 100, Joe. Bye. 2-0 tonight. I feel it. You feel the 2-0 tonight.
I am hitting the bet button right now, Donnie. I love that look, man. I'm all over it.
That'll do it for the week here. Once again, Donnie Rightside and Joe Raineri bringing that heat right here on the SportsGrid Network on the early line. We'll see you bright and early Monday morning. Enjoy.